Kartverket, Norwegian Mapping Authority. She's going to tell us about the Ny-Ålesund new SLR site in the Arctic at 79 degrees north.
Thank you for the introduction. My name is Gøril, and I work at the Norwegian Mapping Authority, and I will give you a deeper insight into the site where the first SLR system will be deployed. Is it the upwards?
Should be the top button, or not the very top.
No, the top.
The up.
The up.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh, it's a down.
It's
a down.
It's backwards.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So this follows a talk from Jan. This is the SLR building in Ny-Ålesund, how it looks like right now. In April, we had the dome and riser installed, but we're still lacking the telescope, the laser, and the electronics, and the rest of the system. And as Jan just said, the system is planned to be installed in 24-25. The SLR will be part of the Ny-Ålesund Earth Observatory, which already has two VLBI antennas, and there will be an SLR station. We have the Genesis and we have the Doris, and that makes the Ny-Ålesund site a core site. And I refer to Erikos Pavlios' study in 2008 that says that we need around 30 core sites in the world in order to have a terrestrial reference frame with an accuracy of 1 millimeter and a stability of 1 millimeter per decade. And the stations should have a good global spread or localization. And the status by now, depending on how we count and how we define the core sites, we have between 8 and 15 core sites today. So the contribution from the Ny-Ålesund site will be good. The localization of the Ny-Ålesund site is right here on top of the world. And I will give you, it's a very characteristic site, as some of the questions already showed, both in terms of location, in terms of wildlife, in terms of weather and climate, and also in terms of aircraft safety. And I will say a bit more about all these things, but first, I will just give you a slide on the pronunciation, because the site has this very strange Norwegian letter, the A with a circle above it. And it's tempting to pronounce it like an A, the A, but it actually sounds more like the letter O. So like in many other languages, the letter in Norwegian is called Å, just like the O is pronounced O in like como in Spanish, or doch in German, or Anja in Finnish. So the letter is a O, not a A. And for English-speaking people, the two letters OL together is pronounced pretty much like all, like everybody. So a way to remember it is that Ålesund is like all, everybody, Ålesund. And it's also worth mentioning that Ny, the two first letters, means new. So we have New York, New Mexico, Ny-Ålesund, but that's where the similarity stops. So going back to where it's actually located, we have Norway here. We have Ny-Ålesund in this island up here called Svalbard. The Norwegian Mapping Authority's main office is located close to Oslo in Norway. So we actually daily work down here. The core site is up in Ny-Ålesund, and up at Svalbard there is an administrative center or capital called Longyearbyen. And this island or archipelago up here is recognized as the sovereignty of Norway after the Svalbard Treaty that is about 100 years old. And that treaty is signed by all the countries marked in green. And there are special laws applying there, like all signed parties are to be treated equally, have same commercial interests, and there should not be any military activity up there. So digging more into the archipelago, somebody might have heard this whole archipelago is called Svalbard. The largest island is called Spitsbergen. So both the Spitsbergen and Svalbard Treaty is the same place. So we have the Longyearbyen, which is the administrative center. This is where most people on the island live, about 2,000 inhabitants. There are schools, shops, hospital, hotel, and daily flights to the Norwegian mainland. And then we have a small city called Barentsburg, where there are about 400 inhabitants from Ukraine and Russia. Based on coal mining, they have school, hospital, hotel. And the way to access it is using a snowmobile or a boat from Longyearbyen. And then we have Ny-Ålesund up here. And this is a very small town with only 25 inhabitants. Very international, people from Norway, Germany, England, Italy, Japan, China. But during summer it can be a couple of hundred people there. So during summer it increases. It's the world's northernmost permanent settlement. It's a main center for research on Svalbard, and since it's such a extraordinary place, all meals, accommodation and infrastructure is organized by a company called Kings Bay. And the way to access Ny-Ålesund is that there are 2 flights a week. So you can fly in and out on Mondays and Thursdays. And that's it. There are boats as well. And then here and there and everywhere there are other inhabitants, which are polar bears. They were counted around 300 polar bears a few years ago. There are probably quite a bit more, but those are the ones they actually saw. There are walrus, seals, whales, polar foxes, and reindeer. And it's a lot of bird species. About 30 to 40 regular breeders up there. So it's a special place for wildlife. This is a beautiful picture of Ny-Ålesund with the midnight sun. So there are 4 months of midnight sun at Svalbard. Equally, there are 4 months of polar nights. And to have a look into the weather, here are the weather for the last 13 months. So the temperature here, we can see it's mostly below 0. It's from minus 24 to plus 16 degrees. During summer, it's at least above 0. The precipitation is about 100 days per year. The snow depth here is about 17 centimeters during winter and spring, and then it's nothing during summer. And there can be quite high wind speeds, up to 24 meters per second and 32 meters per second in gusts. This gives an overview of the city or the town of Ny-Ålesund that I took when I was there in April. So here we can see the Ny-Ålesund city center. About 1 kilometer away is the airport runway, and next to the runway is the Norwegian Mapping Authority's office. And in the office we have 5 employees, 5 colleagues working there and living in Ny-Ålesund. So, and 2 of them, Susanna and Ruben, are actually here from Guadalajara. So when going back home, they go here. The people working there for the Norwegian Mapping Authority work 3 months on and 1 month off, because you need to see the civilization every now and then. And then down here, we have the core station, SLR station, core site. It's about 1.5 kilometers direct line. And, well, due to the VLBI antennas, there is a complete radio silence, so it's not permitted with a mobile phone in this whole area. There are obviously polar bears, or risk for polar bears everywhere, so if leaving the town area, you need to carry a gun. And it's a hotspot for birds, especially down here. In this lagoon, there is a hotspot for birds, and that is very next to the core site. So in fact, we are not allowed to work permanently on the core site, like on a daily basis. We are not allowed to sit down here at the station and work. We are supposed to work up here. So that means that the SLR needs to be remotely controlled. So how to control the SLR when it's ready for operations? Obviously, we need to be able to control locally first. And then we will have a solution where we have a so-called nearby remote solution at the Norwegian Mapping Authority's office, a couple of kilometers away. And then with time, the system is supposed to be fully remote to be operated from, for instance, from the main office of the Mapping Authority. So one of the things with having a remotely operated system is obviously the aircraft safety. So, and as we can see on this map from Flight Radar 24, we can see that there are a lot of flights where most SLR stations are, not so many up here where Ny-Ålesund is. It doesn't mean that there's no traffic there, but it means that it's a special site in terms of listed safety for aircrafts as well. So the traffic that is actually in Ny-Ålesund is we have local aircrafts landing in Ny-Ålesund. Those are actually going through the laced area since the airport is so close. And we have flights to mainland. They don't really go through the area, but it's quite close. And we have long distance routes that go, for instance, from China to Canada, or they pass Svalbard today. And there is the possibility for search and rescue helicopters that has to be able to land everywhere. And sometimes there are military aircrafts, but not very often.
Gøril, you have about 2 minutes.
Okay. So this will, the safety for these aircrafts will be ensured with 3 different systems. We will have a danger zone that will make long-distance aircrafts avoid this area. We will have an on-off switch, both at the tower in Longyearbyen airport tower and also at the office. And we will have an automatic ADS-B system. And these are interfaced to NASA's laser safety subsystem. And for details on this, please visit our poster outside here to the right. And this, finally, just a few pictures from how it looked like. This is how it looked like before the station was built in 2014. This is how it looks like today. This is from when the SLR pier was made and the shelter was built. And this is from when the riser and the dome was installed. And this is how the SLR room looks like today. The timeline, the next thing happening is that we will have the telescope installed next spring, and in about 2 years we will have the system shipped to Norway and operating. Yeah, we thank our colleagues at NASA and KBR for the efforts and cooperation for bringing this system towards having a complete system installed. And that's it. I would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the audience?
One question to the clear sky coverage throughout the year. This is probably a very challenging thing for the operation up there. Do you have an average value throughout the year? Cloud
average-
coverage.
For the cloud coverage,
Yes.
I don't have the numbers here, no.
Okay.
It's not, obviously, it's not like Spain or Hawaii. It's more cloudy, yeah.
And what would be the length of the day, basically from sunset to sunrise, from sunrise to sunset, during summertime and during wintertime? This is also, during some phases, you do probably daylight ranging all the time.
Yeah, so for 4 months, there will be sun continuously, light continuously, and for 4 months, there will be darkness continuously.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? We have a comment online. Frank Lamont says, on the VLBI and Ny-Ålesund, I probably killed it. The North Vigos, Ny-Ålesund, with twin telescope is scheduled to participate in its first operational 24-hour observing session for the IVS session B02348, December 14, after completing tests to integrate into the Vigos network. It was just a comment.
It was just a comment. Yeah, I'm not, I don't know the status on the VLBI, but.
So Suhail Tamini, question, what do you mean by co-location with MOBLA 7?
For that, I refer to Jan's talk. That was just before Jan McGarry's talk. That was just before this. The co-location is that the MOBLA is at the Goddard, is run together with the system that is to be installed at Ny-Ålesund. But the system is built at NASA at Goddard, and then after having been co-located at NASA's next to the MOBLAs, the system will be shipped to Ny-Ålesund, and then it will be installed in Ny-Ålesund.
Suhail, does that answer your question? No more questions. Thank you very much, and for the pronunciation lesson as well.